And there we go, we are entering map number 1, which is Bumpy Jumpy by Tona. Fastest lap from last step was a 1:12.277 by Gwen. 3/10 faster than Papu went on step number 4 when this map was introduced. So yeah, definitely a map where we're gonna have to see what Gwen is able to pull off in terms of pace on this map. For those of you who haven't seen this one, the identity is comprised of a series of jumps on the bump road that you can see right here, the sausage road as we like to call it. One jump towards the right hand side of the road, another jump towards the left through the trees, and another jump towards the right to head towards the right hand side of the road for the next corner. Then a final jump between the tree and the hill that you're seeing right here and land on the other side to cross the start finish line and start another lap. Another peculiarity of the map is this wall ride section using reactor boost. Sorry for a little bit of the spastic camera movement, which leads into a Neo hairpin section. You can see right now with this second Neo hairpin. If you have enough speed, you can also clear that little jump into the dirt. Make sure to actually have enough speed to do that though, otherwise you're going to be losing a shit ton of time when you respawn. And one thing to note about the clearing speed of the bump jumps at the identity is you need around 300 to 310 kilometers an hour to actually clear it safely without landing on the other side in the curved part of the reactor block, of the roadblock. As you can see, Pack going for the final jump through both trees at the start-finish line to start another lap. We're about to get started, boys. 10 seconds of warm-up remaining. We're going to be starting with the usual helicam angle with the far chase cam starting off right away. Here we go, step 6 underway, map 1. Here we go.
Good luck, have fun.
Good luck, have fun, everyone. The race is underway right now. We're heading straight into the ice section. Make sure to not actually go too high, otherwise you're going to be losing a ton of momentum on your way down before the first checkpoint. Everybody managing to get clear. Brent going a little bit higher than usual, and the whole shot will be for Tween with a 14.795 Pack. Actually, Kappa touching on the outside of the dirt, I think, and he's down in last place. Crappy touching on the outside as well, so he's down in last place at the present moment as they're all heading towards the reactor boost wall right at the moment. Gwen and Papu first and second, Riolu third, Pack fourth, and Tween currently sitting in P5 as we're heading with him through the reactor boost wall ride, trying to make some positions up on the rest of the top 4 at the moment. Nobody making any big mistakes so far, except maybe for Aurel, who's currently at the final place in P15, 1.8 seconds down on the leader, currently trying to catch back up to Scrappy through the freewheel parts, although less speed than Scrappy. Scrappy touches the wall on the outside, and that's going to be demoting the Belgian down to last place as we're going to be heading back with Tween for the identity at the present moment with the dirt part just before it. Papu has taken the lead from Gwen, under threat from Masa right now for P2, and Afi and Tween battling for P5 at the moment, or P6. It's for P4 actually. Masa having a slow landing at the second jump in the identity, so he drops down to P5. Tween up into P3 after lap number 1. Papu, Gwen, and Tween, your top 3. Papu with the fastest up with a 1:17.633. Papu still in the lead. Tween moving up to P2. Gwen actually having made a mistake, it seems like. He's down in P15. So the rookie is down in last place after having had a solid outlap. He's completely faltered. Meanwhile, Tween is up to P2 with his arch nemesis Carl Jr. up into P3. The reigning champion looking good for a good position as we head into the reactor boost wall ride for the second time. Tween going for the jump, same thing for Carl Jr. Papu did not have enough speed to make it, so he actually drops a couple of positions as Tween assumes the lead of the race before the freewheel part, although Masa and Carl Jr. might have something to say about that. Not quite. Carl Jr. losing a lot of speed on his end, and he's at the short end of the stick down to P4. Another threat for set P4 from Pack and Spam in P5 and P6. With the identity coming up for the second time, it is neck and neck between Masa and Papu at the moment. The identity is going to decide. Little Masa going close to the pole on the inside on the first jump. Third jump. No, Tween! What's happened? Right in the trees! And Tween will be down in 11th place and even down in last position. Gwen has overtaken him, so he's down in P15. What is going on? Masa inherits the lead in front of Carl Jr. and Pack, with Spam also coming back into the fight, and Brent as well. Within a shot for top 5 at the moment. Kappa, Afi, and Matt complete your top 8. Matt having a strong start so far.
But it's a hard step for like the players outside top 8 at the moment. Or Rail, Evan, and Scrappy all behind top 8 at the moment.
Spam has actually made a slight tap with the wall. That's enough to do damage. He's down in P9 at the moment, while Evan is currently battling with Aurel for P10, and Tween, unfortunately for him, he's 7.3 seconds down on the leader at the present moment. He needs to make a big boy step. That is definitely not the right start for him in this situation.
Look at your Beto. Look at Massa at the top. Damn, Massa is good this season.
Man, Massa is absolutely going ham right now. He's leading by half a second from Pack and Carl Jr. The 4 consecutive world champions between 2013 and 2016 are going at it for P2 at the moment, with Massa currently trying to scamper away, trying to make a run for freedom at the front, but he's getting reeled in slowly but surely by Pack as he loses a lot of speed in the identity compared to the rest of the field. That was a dodgy landing for Massa. Will Steve be able to make the jump? Yes, but Pack will inherit first place after that small, sketchy landing from Massa. He's down in P2, Carl in P3, followed closely by his former teammate Bren, and the battle for top 2 really gets intensified right now. Pack assuming the lead from Carl Jr., Bren in P3, Massa in P4, Spam a little bit further behind with Riolu battling, throwing down the gauntlet and challenging for P5 at the present moment with Spam. Kappa a little bit further behind in P7, and in the top 8 it's a battle between Aurel and Afi in the present moment, with Scrappy also getting back into the mix, so it is definitely looking pretty good for some positions. Also, Aurel has had quite the weird line through there, so he dropped a lot of speed heading into the CP, so he gets demoted down to P11 as Matt overtakes him, the Brazilian, up into the top 10 at the present moment.
Yeah, this might actually be Matt's best step, at least starting off really good, so it's nice to see, even though he has 0 chance of actually making it into the playoffs.
Yeah, that is true. It is definitely nice to see the Brazilian finally come good and actually score some decent finishes in races. Meanwhile, Pack Carl and Massa 1, 2, 3 with Bren having much more speed than Massa again at the identity. It seems as though it is the biggest weakness of this on this map for the German, as he gets sent down to P4 by Bren, who moves through into 3rd position. Spam in P5, well clear of Kappa and Afi. Kappa coming out of nowhere and actually mounting a comeback for the top 5 positions. He's currently sitting in 6th right now, Martin.
Yeah, and just to mention, Martin actually has a hard time because he has corona, so he said on Twitter just before this step that he has hard time focusing, hard time having energy, but I really hope Kappa is going to perform well today, and it's not going to be like the outside circumstances, depending on if he makes it or not.
Yeah, that is true. He's definitely trying to push through as much as he can right now to try and get some decent points on the board, even though, as you said, he's been diagnosed positive with the coronavirus a few days ago. He announced it on Twitter that he's actually trying to trying to get some rest, even though he doesn't feel that good at the present moment. He's definitely pushing on to try and perform as much as he can, so definitely kudos to Kappa for sticking with it and actually trying to push through it at the present moment. Currently holding off Afi for P6 at the moment, and it seems as though at front nothing of any sort of big predicament has happened. Maybe the duel between Massa and Bren for 3rd position right now, with Bren again retaking the lead before the final lap got started. Massa fastest lap of the race so far with the 1:12.591, so he could still score as many points as Bren if he manages to keep that fastest lap and finish in P4, although he is definitely not going to be content with that. He's going to try to push and go for the all-in, trying to make as much positions as we can.
Damn, it's close though. It's close. Pack versus Carl Jr. Who's going to win it?
Yeah, Pack, Carl, Bren, and Massa, you're top 4, as you can see from the overhead cam, how the gaps have developed over the course of this race. Papu, one of the strong contenders in this particular championship season, heads down to last position, and he's 15 seconds down on the leader. Currently it is, as we said, Pack with Bren up into P2, overtaking his former teammate, as we see, getting a little bit racy there. 1 second of a gap between Pack and Carl Jr., who seem to have made a mistake to make that happen. Massa in P4 with Spam up into P5, as we're heading into the identity for the final time for the leaders. Pack leading Bren and Carl Jr. in that exact order at the present moment. Will there be anyone faltering in the top 4? It doesn't seem like it at the lead. Pack seems to have got this in the bag, and he will win the race easily. Bren in P2, Carl Jr. in P3, Massa in 4th position, Spam in 5th, Aurel up to P6, Kappa 7th, Scrappy 8th, Afi 9th, Evon in P10, Gwen 11th, Tween in 12th, taking the fastest lap to boot with a 1:12.548. Riolu 13th, Matt 14th, and Papu finishing in P15 after having a rocky landing at the final jump, it seems like, from when I actually came back to him. So, 20 points for Pack, who takes the race win. 14 points for Bren in 2nd position, 12 for Carl Jr. in 3rd place, 10 for Massa in P4, and 9 points for Spam in P8. Tween up to P9 thanks to that fastest lap of the race, which gets him the 2 bonus points, including the 4 points for his finish in P11. As we're heading into map number 2, which is going to be Links Circles. The lap record from Step 4 has been unbeaten with a 114.450. So Circles by Link, this particular one is characterized by an identity that is somewhat different compared to what we've been used to seeing. So this identity is jumping in the circles that you see here, and it's a series of transfer jumps. So you gotta use the bump road to go into the first circle and actually release and turn at the exact moment to actually make it over to the second part of the transfer. If you release a little bit too early or turn in too early, you're gonna be too low and head straight on into the wooden wall. As soon as you cross the first transfer, go to the other side of the CP through the pillar to get the booster, then release and turn to clear, release and turn at the exact moment to clear the sides that you see right here on the second transfer, and then land at the other side of the other circle and try to get as much speed as you can on the landing to actually carry that speed through to the final checkpoint and the free wheel final corner to cross the start finish line to start a new map. And plenty of different, a variety of different sections with 2 ice sections, one right at the start and one before this part right here, which is a turnover using the reactor boost, and you have to keep your car really flush with the top of the road, top of the turnover to actually make for the smoothest transmissions at the other end. So it's going to be something where you're going to a map where you could see some pretty interesting stuff happen, I think.
But so far, the players that are top 8 at the moment just got a better map 1 than the people that are actually challenging. Only Aurel beating Kappa at the moment with 1 point, but Massa, Spam, and Kappa at the moment looking strong. They're looking stronger than Avon. They're looking stronger than Tween. They're looking stronger than the potential people that can actually knock them out. So let's see if that's going to continue on map 2 here.
Map 2 is underway, ladies and gentlemen. We're heading straight into the ice spot right now. Holshell for Carl Jr. with a 5.411. As we're towards the exit of that said ice spot, we're heading back to Tween taking the lead with Afi emerging in the lead as well. Tween in the thick of the field at the moment, with Papu having had a bit of a sluggish start, so he's down in last place at the moment, although no big mistake so far from any of the players to report as we're heading towards the second ice part for all these players. Afi in the lead in front of Riolu, who's trying to come through and take the lead before the reactor boost part. We're gonna jump in with Burim at the present moment, battling straight on with Afi at the present moment, and it looks like Afi retains the lead at the exit of the turnover, heading into the wall ride right now. Small patch of ice, which shouldn't be anything to worry about for the players at the moment, with Tween currently in P14, it must be said, 1 second down on the leader, but still in with a shot of actually getting back into that midfield pack. Gwen with a wide line through the grass. He's down in P15 as a result of that, as we're heading into the identity with Spam, Pack, and Afi battling for the top 3 positions at the moment. Managing to barely clear it. Spam was really close to actually full stopping into the wall, I imagine. Then Afi going for the really early crossing of the second jump, and he takes the lead and will cross the start-finish line, leading the race in front of Pack and Spam. Afi with the fastest lap to boot with a 117.455. Aurel and Carter 4th and 5th at the first checkpoint, with Tween currently right, still within contention for some decent points on the board here.
I guess Bren is more or less now officially out of TrackMania Grand League because this dream step that he could potentially have. He started good on map 1, but now he's in 15th and already 5 seconds behind, so sad for Gwen there.
Yeah, definitely sad for
Bren, sorry.
Sad for Bren. No, Gwen is definitely still in it. I think he's well and truly in it. No, but indeed, Bren, it seems as though his dream of making the big boy step and getting into the playoffs is pretty much over. As we're heading back with our man, he decides to go below the sign to actually take the wall ride without actually moving onto the patch of ice, which is a pretty clever strat from Tween, albeit slightly risky, because if you mess up your angle, then you're definitely done for.
Oh boy, identity time,
Identity time, and Tween is through the first part. Afi, Pack, and Spam 1-2-3 at the moment. Afi looking strong so far in this opening phase of the map. Evon as well, having managed to go up to P6 actually, with Carter and Norel passing by Tween again. Massa in P6 at the moment. Evon still in it, and look at this, it's a battle that's really brewing for P3 at the moment, with Pack and Afi making a bit of a run for freedom at the front of the field, with Papu a little bit further behind, as we're expecting back towards the tail end of the field. Papu is at the tail end of those that might be getting closer and closer to get to the lead pack. He's 2.8 seconds down on the leader at the moment. Up ahead is Gwen in P12. Meanwhile, at the front, Afi in pack 1 and 2. Aurel in P3. Evan, Carlin, Tween in 4th, 5th, and 6th. Heading into the turnover. Nicely done. Tween moving up, trying to fend off the attacks from Massa for P6 at the moment. And actually, he's moved up to P4 with that turnover. So really good, solid work from Marek at the present moment with Afi, Pack, and Aurel. Your top 3 at the moment.
Aurel is looking to have a mission here. He is going to go into the playoffs. He's performing well once again. So let's see if that's going to continue.
Let's see if it continues. Heading into the identity. Really low line for Aurel. A little bit higher for Tween as he errs on the edge of safety over these kind of transfer jumps where he might not feel as comfortable as some of the other players out there, and he has less speed at the exit of the second transfer, so he gets overtaken by Carl Jr. and demoted down to P5, entering lap number 4. 1:14.467, the fastest lap for Gwen. We're 17 thousandths away from seeing the lap record on this track getting beaten on the final step. Meanwhile, Afi currently still leading, Pack and Aurel second and third, calling P4. Evan moving back up into P6, so solid showing from the Polish driver from Team Secret as he takes the gauntlet and actually fights against Tween and moves up into P5 at the exit of this ice part before the turnover.
Well, everything's still up for grab. Pack is going to have back-to-back, or is Afi going to win it?
That is definitely going to be interesting. So you can see from the perspective of Massa, Tween going below being the only one in the top group at the very least to go below the sign and avoid the ice patch altogether. I don't even know if it's really going to yield any big time gain at the present moment compared to a really well executed wall ride that goes through the ice patch, but we're going to have to wait and see. Meanwhile, Afi still leading convincingly, although coming under increasing pressure from Pack with Carl Jr. and Aurel battling for third position with a Canadian trying to make a move on the GamingBelieve.com player, and actually Pack under threat for P2, heading into the final part of the map with the penultimate lap in Pack, much speed than Afi, and he takes the lead right at the line. Carl Jr. with the 1:14.444, the lap record has been beaten by the Canadian. Pack down to P4 after briefly taking the lead from the race. He lost quite a bit of time on the ice part compared to the rest of his fellow competitors. Meanwhile, Tween is currently sitting in P5, around a 10th ahead of Evan in P6. Massa and Gwen in P7 and P8. Gwen, after having had a pretty rocky start to the map, he was down in P12 after lap 1. He's back up into the top 8.
It's so close, man. It's super close. This is fun.
It is definitely fun. Aurel up into P2 apparently, so yeah, you said that the GamingTV.com player is on a mission and he's definitely not hanging around. Carl Jr. up down to P3 with actually Pack to actually fight off, and he's got a fight on his hands. Meanwhile, Tween and Evan, the battle still rages on for P5 between the two Eastern Europe players as we're heading to the identity for the penultimate time in this step. Afi looking pretty strong out there, 0.3 of a second heading into the identity over Aurel in P2, and the battle for P2 is really becoming insane between Aurel, Pack, and Carl Jr. heading towards the final lap. Aurel with more speed than Pack will overtake him before the line. Aurel up into P2, heading into the final lap of the race. Carl in P3, Pack in P4, and Tween in P5, maybe in with a shot of P4. If he manages to get the ice part correctly, not quite. He sees the top 4 running away.
Oh, look at Aurel. Look at Aurel. Can he make it, actually?
Oh, this is going to be so close. Yeah, Aurel is definitely going to be looking to get that playoff ticket. He's definitely intent on doing that. He's currently sitting 37 points behind the top 8 needed for the playoffs as he entered set number 5. But at the exit of the ice part, he's down in P3 as Pack overtakes him before the turnover. Carl in P4 and Tween reeling him in for set P4. So it'll be interesting to see the two arch nemesises fighting against each other with Carl in P4, Tween in P5. Meanwhile, Afi convincingly in the lead with 0.6 of an advantage over Pack in P2. Carl Jr. under threat from Tween for P4. Aurel potentially getting reeled in by these two at the moment. Potentially a battle for P3 on their hands. Heading into the identity for the final time. Afi looking really good out here. Pack and Aurel. Carl Jr. getting overtaken by Tween, so in P4, maybe P3. Let's actually see how this goes for Tween. Meanwhile, Afi has got the win on his hands. Pack will be finishing in second position. Aurel in third and Tween in P4. Carl Jr. in P5, Evan in P6. Massa 7th, Gwen 8th, Strappy 9th, Kappa 10th, Spam 11th, Brent 12th, Riolu P13. Oh, actually getting overtaken by Papu before the final corner. So Papu in P13, Riolu in P14, and Matt, it might be really close for him to finish, so there might not be any points on the board for the Brazilian if he's not able to make it through this second part of the identity. 3, 2, 1, and it's gonna be no points for Matt, unfortunately. Oh, actually, he did cross the finish line. There is a little bit of a delay, I must say, between the timer and what's happening on the track. So Matt taking the 2 points, and Pac leads the step with 34 points, Tween up to P7 with 16 points as we're done with stage 1. So this is where people need to start to come good and get into the top 8 as soon as they can.
It's not only a battle to actually see who is going to make the playoffs, but it's also a really close battle to see who is actually going to win the TrackMania Grand League Fall 2020 season. Carl Jr. so far at the moment 207 points, Gwen 203 points, Pac 192 points. So who is going to be the champion of the group stage? That is up for grab as well today. And at the moment, the Canadian is at top.
Yeah, and it's definitely a battle for also that sweet, sweet cash prize. There's a total of $16,500, €16,500 of cash prize that are split over the course of the players. I don't really remember what's being split in the rulebook, but I think that, yeah, getting the lion's share of the cash prize is definitely also important for the players as we're heading into map number 3, which is Dune by Table. The fastest step of the previous step was a 120.410 by Papu from Gamers Origin. So this one is not really anything particular about it to say, aside from the identity. Pretty flowy map overall, but then you've got this dirt-to-dirt transfer jump, which leads into this identity, which consists of U-turns with reactor boost, where you need to actually pitch your car at a little bit of an angle before when you drop out of the road before you enter the ring, and then you gotta pitch your car at the right angle to initiate a buck slide to make through the U-turn really safely, and you should not lose the buck slide midway through the corner, otherwise you're gonna careen towards the back end of the wall or fall on the outside of the map and be forced to respawn, which will be devastating, as you'll be seeing players right here coming through the identity to try and make it through. When really good buck slide. Tween, you can see, messing up the buck slide and losing it mid-corner. He touches the outside wall. So this is something that you definitely want to avoid doing if you want to have any chance of finishing in the top 8 here on this map. So, warm-up is done. Map 3 about to get underway. We're already almost halfway through the step, ladies and gentlemen. So, get some good hype and chat spam. Go Tween. We need to show your support right now. As the race gets underway, we're going to head towards the first checkpoint. You can see it on the screen. The whole shot will be for Afi with a 10.832. Then Spam and Papu in second and third. Tween in the thick of the pack, currently at the top end of the pack, as a matter of fact, battling with Spam and Gwen for the lead. Heading into the grass turn right now. Gwen and Spam still first and second. Tween looking pretty good on the very opening phase of the map. Currently, Matt's getting a little bit left behind, but still maintaining contact with the lead group at the present moment. So yeah, the Brazilian looking to actually make a good step and trying to not drop out and drop too many points in this step and in this stage of the step, and also the other stage of the step that's going to come a little bit later. Meanwhile, Gwen trying to make a break for freedom at the front. He's currently 3/10 ahead of Scrappy in P2. The Belgian trying to recover some big points and actually try to mount the last-ditch effort for getting into the playoffs, although it might be slightly unlikely. And you can see the pack, the swarm behind him, with Spam trying to challenge for P2 with Papu, Tween, and Massa also in here with the identity coming up right now. We're going to be switching back with the perspective from our man from the Pittsburgh Knights. First U-turn, let's actually see if there's any big mistake. Brand going too deep on the entry. He's going to be forced to respawn. Same goes for Massa, apparently, who's made something completely the second U-turn. Third U-turn, nicely negotiated for Tween. Everybody managing to make it safe through, at least in the top 8. Matt into the top 8 at the present moment. Massa is down 2 seconds on the top 8 needed for safety. Riolu and Brand battling with each other. Actually, Riolu coming back through the field ever so slightly, moving up to P13. Then Evan and Carl Jr. in 12 and 11. Scrappy in P10. Papu in P9. Not too far away from the top 8, though.
Orel was in the red position before the identity, and then he nails the identity, and now it's in P2. Orel still in it. I feel more and more strong about he will actually make the playoff today.
Yeah, it is definitely looking like a really strong showing from the GamingPrivé.com player at the present moment. Currently having 7 points more than Evan, who is right ahead of him in the Grand League standings. Meanwhile, his fellow countryman Gwen trying to control the race from the front. Currently 0.4 of a second between him and Orel in first and second. Afi in P3 at the moment. Pack in P4, Kappa P5. Spam, Tween, and Papu complete your top 8, as there is apparently a mistake from Matt, who got overtaken by Papu, or maybe a slight difference of pace in favor of the Frenchman. As we're heading into the identity for the second time, we're going to be heading back with our man. Oh, that was a really risky. That's going to compromise the line from Kappa. The Evon dead? Okay, Evon is dead, so this might be game over. He's going to lose half of this points. Meanwhile, Tween managing to make it safely through, so he's going to be moving up to P6, as apparently there was a mistake from Mats again. He's down in P12 at the identity section, so yeah, Evon, you said himself, he is dead. Meanwhile, at the front, it's still looking strong for the Frenchmen out there, and currently Martin Kappa looking pretty good as he battles with Pack for P3.
Martin won this step, or Kappa won this map last time, right?
I think he did win his this map ahead of Gwen. So, meanwhile, a little bit further behind, Tween has dropped a few positions to some of the players, so he's down in P8 at the moment, but still within that set top 8, overtaking Papu for P7 after a sluggish exit from the dirt from the Gaming Nerds Origin driver, although the battle is still far from over between these two, and they are going to try to reel Spam back in and try to catch the train that is at the front, which is completely relentless, as Gwen seemed to have made a mistake and got swarmed by everyone, with Aurel assuming the lead in front of Kappa and Pack, with Afi and Gwen following behind him as we're heading to the identity for the halfway point of the race. As we see someone getting a little bit too much airtime through there. I don't really know who it was. Really sorry, I didn't really exactly follow. Oh, Tween forced to release through halfway through the buck slide, so he's going to drop down in P9 in favor of Scrappy, moving into the top 8. Carl Jr. also coming back at him, so he's down in P10 at the present moment, but thankfully he did not have to respawn. He's still in it to get into the top 8. Meanwhile, Aurel and Afi and Gwen, and actually Kappa, your top 3, as Gwen is in P4 and Pack drops down to P6. I wonder what happened to Thomas Cole at the present moment, with Scrappy currently challenging him for P6, with Spam also getting into the mix as well. So it's a 3-way fight for P6, and it could really be costly at the end for Pack.
Aurel is on a mission. At the moment, it's going to be between Aurel and Massa, because Aurel is going to gain so many points, and Massa is going to lose half his points. So those two are the head-to-head battles to look after who's going to make the playoffs and who is not going to make the playoffs.
Indeed, and Aurel currently leading the race, but so far Massa trying to be on the charge. Afi overtaking Aurel for P2, so that could deny six easy points for the Frenchman from GamingPD.com, with Massa currently author of the fastest lap in this race with the 120.852 at the present moment. We're 4/10ths away from the lap record held by Papu. Papu currently sitting in P5, so looking good to actually keep his 5 points on the board and score some decent points as well, as we're heading to the identity with this camera angle courtesy of Spam. Pack going a little bit too deep in the entry. Spam touching the back wall, so that's good. Promo Tween up into P8 at the very least temporarily, as Conjurer comes back at him and Spam comes back at him. Spam back down into P10, Tween in P9, and the battle for top 8 is hunting up between Carl Jr., Tween, and Spam right now as we're heading into the penultimate lap. Papu reclaiming his fastest lap honors with a 120.447. The Frenchman moving up to P3.
Well, that's not good for Spam. He's also one of these players that are in the playoffs at the moment, but can lose it if he doesn't have a good step today. And you need to keep the points if you want to make it to the playoff today, Spam.
Yeah, and Aurel, who was leading the race just a short few moments ago, he's down to P5, so maybe he's not going to be able to capitalize all that much on the points loss for from Massa, and trying to score the big W, putting the big once-over. Meanwhile, again, back into P8, into the P8 territory. Carl Jr. desperately trying to hold on to his 23 points, whilst Tween and Spam reel him in. Tween overtaking Carl Jr. temporarily for P8 at the next checkpoint. Pack is up ahead in P7, so this is going to be the next target on their hands that they want to feel even safer than they are right now. Meanwhile, towards the front, Gwen and Papu first and second, Afi in P3, Kappa in P4, Aurel 5th, and Scrappy in P6 for Team Lazarus, as we're heading to the identity from the perspective of the Belgian. Belgian looking good. Afi having a bit of a wide exit at the first U-turn. Second U-turn looking good. Third U-turn looking good. Meanwhile, it's actually checking on Matic. Matic is going to be in really hot shell water. Carl Jr. has touched the CP, so he's out of it. It seems like Carl Jr. has indeed fallen. Meanwhile, Massa up into P8, so this could very well be a losing situation. Look at this. It's super close for top 8. Massa, Spam, and Tween. Tween currently holding the top 8, but he's under constant pressure from Spam at the present moment, and maybe this could actually be beneficial if they are actually able to keep the pace up and catch back up to Pack, because then the pressure will get to Pack, and this could really be extremely painful for Pack if he descends down to P9 last second.
Tween can help out like Aurel, Evon, and Scrappy at the moment. If he knocks out some points from Spam and Massa, that can make everything open at the moment. So this is an important last lap.
Yeah, this last lap is indeed important. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, it is 0.6 of a second of an advantage for Gwen ahead of Papu. Afi in P3 still, Scrappy up into P4 after that's penultimate lap. Aurel and Kappa battling for P5. It's Pack in P7, currently 7/10 ahead of Tween, but Tween under increasing pressure from Spam. We're heading into the identity for the final time right now. Go Tween in chat. It's going to be really close, heading into the identity. It's down the P9 right now. It's going to be over to the line that this is decided. First U-turn, nicely done. Second jump, but look at Massa. He's got much more speed than Spam. Spam touching the back wall.
Spam is dead.
Spam is dead. Massa won't be actually making itself. Spam in this. Will Tween down in P9. Gwen wins the race in front of Papu, Afi, Scrappy, Aurel, Kappa, Pack, and Massa clinching it at the last identity. Tween in P9, Spam in P10, Carl in P11, Riolu in P12, Matt in P13. Evon will actually not be able to cross it unless he manages to get it all together. So Bren will be finishing in P14. There goes Bren towards the finish line with Evon in P15 right to follow with 1 second to spare. He crosses the finish line. And yeah, so Pac managing to keep his points and his step lead alive at the moment with 41 points. Massa keeping his playoffs dream alive with 23 points in 5th place. Tween down in P10 with 13 points, 16 points for Cauldron in P9 as we're heading to map number 4, which is going to be Glacier Hiking by Firestorm, where we saw an epic battle between Evon and Tween, which was decided at the line with Evon winning by less than 1/100th of a second. Can you believe this?
That was really impressive though by Massa. He was down, he had a lot of pressure on him, but once it came down to show at the last identity, he showed that he has the mentality this season. He showed that this season he's a lot better, and he managed to actually keep the points. And then Spam lost the points, so that is really good situation for Massa to secure himself a playoff spot.
Yeah, indeed, it is a very good situation for Dennis at the for Dennis Lotze, must be said, because there are two Dennises in this league: Dennis Heinen Scrappy and Dennis Lotze, aka Massa. But yeah, map number 4, Glacier Hiking by Firestorm. Fastest lap of 100.603 by Gwen. Arguably the shortest map that we've ever seen in this Grand League. It's a map that, moreover, does not leave any margin for error. So yeah, it is definitely going to be interesting to see how the players fare. The identity, if you have been there last week, you might know it, but for those of you who haven't been there, you will see this reactor boost part, and you have to slalom on the ice in between those girders. You can't go in the middle, otherwise you're going to be clipping through and be forcing yourself to respawn, and you have to slalom on the ice, which is pretty monk-austere already, but there is actually a trick that you can pull off. So depending on how your car is oriented, you get a reactor boost down, which will force your car to the ground and create downforce, or get the reactor boost up, create lift, and give you road grip, especially over ice. So the tactic here is actually to pitch your car at a 90-degree angle, and even a little higher into that as we cross the into the block, as you get the block, and that will allow you to get the lift effect and get you the road grip. And then you gotta make the best of the less than 6 seconds that you have with this state to actually come across the identity and go across the start-finish straight to start a new lap. The overall standings, as you can see here, 41 points for Pack in first place, 37 for Afi in P2, 30 points for Gwen in P9 and P3, and then P4 for Aurel with 29 points. Massa 5th, sorry, with 23 points.
I guess, can you show the chat the league ranking at the moment? How it would look if the players finish as
this is what it looks like at the
everything.
This is what it looks like at the present moment. Gwen and Carl Jr. first and second, Pack in third, Papu fourth, Afi, Kappa, Spam, and Massa and Spam in the top 8 as we're heading to the start of race number 4. Here we go. Papu having a bit of a sluggish start compared to the rest of the field as we're going to be heading towards the first speed check jump of the map. Ooh, that was really close from Papu though. I think he managed to, well, he did manage to clear it, but I wonder what this speed was like actually, so. Oh, Carl Jr. touching on the outside. He manages to keep it together and avoid a crippling contact that would result in a respawn. Meanwhile, Matt's getting a little bit left behind as we're heading towards the grass to ice transition with Tween currently at the top end of the field, battling with Gwen and Scrappy for the lead as we're heading towards the first of 2 slaloms right now. In this one, the last later one coming in the identity. This slalom through grass. Ooh, barely managing to avoid his wheels clipping on the middle part though. He's gonna have enough speed to clear that secondary hill at the. Oh, Massa forced to release actually. He's got so much speed that he was forced to release as we're heading to the identity with Tween at the present moment. He gets the lift at the identity right now. He keeps on the left side, similar to how we saw Mi4 in the Open Grand League do, keeping on the right side of the road. And Tween getting in the lead at the end of lap 1, 2/10 in front of Massa, in front of Gwen, and Massa in P3 with Spam getting the second place from third place from Massa. Currently, Tween the fastest lap with a 104.206, and first great mistake from Papu who apparently has had a bit of a rocky time at the identity. He's down 3.8 seconds of the top 8 needed for safety, and there are around 11 points as a save for the Frenchman, so it's definitely no small feat if he's able to catch back up to the top 8. And Spam having made a mistake as well, so he's down in P14.
Oh boy, this is scary for Spam. At the moment, it's also scary for Kappa, who's also one of these players that can actually not make it into playoffs, even though he has, at the moment, secured himself a playoff spot.
Yeah, indeed. So, currently Gwen is firmly in the lead. A battle for P2, though, between Bren, Massa, and Tween. At the present moment, Bren with much more speed, getting the second place before the identity, and actually challenging for the lead against Gwen. So, yeah, maybe this could be a show-off performance for Bren, showing that he still deserves to be in TMGL. Meanwhile, Gwen takes the lead in front. Tween takes the lead in front of Gwen at the checkpoints. Oh, what's going on? You still with me, Eirik? What in the world is going on? Hello? Chat, can you hear me? Sorry. Eirik, are you still there? What?
I'm hearing now, yeah.
Yeah, what is happening? Tween fast. Oh, there's been a big internet connection issue apparently. So yeah, Tween cannot be spec'd at the moment, and there is something fishy going on. So apparently Tween cannot be spectated at the moment. We can't see him on the race, unfortunately. So there might be there might be a little bit of a technical issue on this server at the moment. So we think we're gonna have to stick with it. And you can see it's shown as lap 6. So it is definitely something where. Meanwhile, lap 4 for Gwen at the present moment, who theoretically is leading this race.
Yeah, some technical problems, but that's TrackMania. Sadly, let's try to focus on Orwell. Maybe he's at the moment looking to keep the points, but now Pack is overtaking him.
Oh yeah, he's currently sitting in P9, so yeah, that's definitely not a good. He's definitely finds himself not in a good position at the present moment. Currently sitting in P9, and he sees the gap widen to Pack ahead of him. He's 7/10 ahead now, Pack, compared to Orel. Pack currently well within the top 8 position needed for safety, with Kappa just ahead of him. 2018 World Champion versus 2016 World Champion right here. As Kappa still manages to keep the lead ahead of Pack at the present moment. Bren in actually in P5 as in P5 or P4 I should say, as Bren heads into the identity. More speed than Nafi, but Massa also with much more speed gets back in there, and the round has been skipped. So we're gonna get a map restart whilst we wait for the connection issues on Tween's end to actually resolve themselves. We're really sorry about this. It's completely beyond our control, allowing me to get back into the face cam scene right here. Really sorry about this. It is completely beyond our control and something not on our end. I really legit thought that my connection actually crashed, so I was scared.
Yeah, that was a weird one. Let's hope that that is not going to be like a story to follow.
Yeah. When you see a 00.050 from Tween, you know that something is definitely not going right. We had this issue happen on step 2, actually, with Yannick's taking the fastest lap of the race with that kind of thing, with an internet connection issue, whilst Massa was actually with the legit holder of the fastest lap. So yeah, definitely not something out of the unknown, but definitely something that you don't want to happen, especially in the final step of the season.
Yeah, we were starting off good there. Some tension building up, but sadly some technical problems will have an unplanned break. Let's say it like that. But at the moment, I think it's between Orel and Evon, and then maybe Massa and Spam about who is going to make it in the end.
Yeah, indeed. So yeah, Orel, he might have been thankful for that pause, for that technical pause though, because that was a pretty scary situation, finding himself down in P9 without being able to have any response to the pace of Pack up front. And yeah, this will actually enable him to reset himself and try to get this to actually get a good race on Glacier Hiking to continue that top 8 role that he's been having at the present moment. With Tween, it's again still going to be a miracle. We're not really we know that anything can happen in TrackMania, it usually does, but it's going to take some serious big boy points if he has to get himself into the Grand League playoffs. At the moment, the league ranking looks like this. After 3 maps, 223 for Gwen in first place, 200 for Carl Jr. in P2, P3 for Pac with 199, 181 for Papu in P4, Afi 5th with 173, 134 for Kappa in P6, 130 for Masa in P7, and 119 for Spam in P8. So at the moment, Gwen, Carl Jr., Pac, Papu, Afi, Kappa, Masa, and Spam will be your top 8 qualified. Oral would not be able to make it with for 20 points, 22 points only for Evan for him to make it into the playoffs in this stage. Scrappy, 86 points for him in 11th, and Tween currently sitting in P12. And the match resumes, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting back underway. Everybody has reconnected. And so we're restarting the race from scratch. Oh no, Tween has again an issue. Tween has again an issue, it seems like, so... There might be a bit of an input issue apparently from Tween, seeing how he reacted from that. Scrappy was 15, now he had a second chance. Yeah, exactly. That's going to be a lot of second chances for a lot of these people here that are looking to make the big break into the playoffs.
Oh, I wish I was a fly on the wall in the Ubisoft Nadeo quarters at the moment.
Yeah, we're really sorry again about the delay. That is due to a technical issue apparently on Tween's end, so we're just gonna have to wait for everything to get sussed out on our man's ends, and then we're gonna get back to racing with map number 4 that you're currently seeing right now, which is, as I said, Glacier Hiking by Firestorm, which was previously map 5 in the last week, where we saw a battle between Tween and Evan for the win right up until a checkered flag, with Evan winning for 0.005 of a second in the end. So yeah, definitely some really close margins if people actually train the map. So will they be third time's the charm? And indeed it is. We got underway for the final, for potentially the good one this time around. Potentially the nice race coming up, with Afi getting the whole shot with a 6.014. Get some hype in the chat. Type go Tween in the chat to support our man, currently sitting in the midfield with P6 at the moment. Papu a little bit behind towards the tail end of the leading pack at the moment. We're on lap 1, remember, of this race. Gwen trying to make a break for freedom at the front of the field, with Tween and Kappa in second and third. The two previous teammates from Team Zombie looking to actually get back towards the front battle right now, with Evan also looking to join them, with Masa also in the mix, Riolu in the mix as well. Bren and Carl Jr. completing the top 8, and Carl Jr. having a bit of rocky time at the slalom. Bren also going a little bit too wide at the slalom, dropping too much speed, so he's going to be down in P11, and he will not be able to clear the second jump. He clears it barely, but yeah, he's down in P15. Meanwhile, Tween and Gwen battling for the lead, heading into the identity right now with our man from the Pittsburgh Knights. He takes the lead and crosses the start finish line in first place with a 103.917. Solid opening lap from Tween, below the 104s, as Gwen comes back in and takes the lead from our man with Masa up into P3.
Aurel in a difficult position, number 14. If he stays like this, maybe the goal and the dream of actually playing in the playoffs is gone.
Well, currently sitting in P14 indeed. Currently 0.8 to 0.9 of a second away from the top 8 position needed for safety. Currently held by Pac, but Pac is far from safe. As you can see that there is a battle brewing between himself and Spam for P7, but also Matt, Papu, and Scrappy are looking to take the advantage of really difficult circumstances potentially, and Pac is down in P9. P10, Papu P9. Oh, there's some really huge position changes going on still on lap number 2. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, Tween retaking the lead from Masa. Gwen having less speed at the jump, so he's down in P5, temporarily heading into the identity. Masa up into P2, Mr. 305, looking to actually get back into the top end of the field. He's got 23 points on the board. Tween with the 101.140 takes the fastest lap of the race. Masa in P2, and it seems as though we had someone who is dead. Pac is dead! Pac is dead at the identity, so maybe there could be 21 points lost for Pac at the end of this map, and that will put Aurel up into P8, albeit far from safe as Matt is just behind him. Aurel might just keep the dream alive, with Gwen also down in P11 after that second lap, so it might be really rocky for the Game World player out there. Tween still leading in front of Masa, and Riolu now in P3. I'm sure that the guys over at Nordavind and the virtual stream will like that, as he got more speed than Masa at the exit of the ice and moves through the P2 before the slalom.
Look at Twin though, even though he has some technical problems, he's like, I don't care, I'm not gonna let that affect me, I'm gonna be 1.2 seconds ahead of the rest of the guys.
Make that 1.5 seconds heading into the identity right now. Tween on an absolute friggin' roll. Spam go Tween in the chat to show your support, as he definitely needs it in this time. 1:00.527. This is a new lap record from our man, who takes the lap record away from Gwen. Gwen, who's got nothing to do apart ride this out and trying to make it into the top 8. Currently fighting with Evan for P9, and then there's a 2.4 second gap to Carl Jr. in P8. So Carl currently sitting safe for the moment, but anything can happen in TrackMania, and it usually does. So I don't think he is safe all that long. He's an 8 over until the checkered flag rises. He is here until the fat lady sings.
At the moment, this is really good for Carl Jr. though, because these contenders to win this is Gwen and Pack, and both are losing points at the moment, while Carl Jr. at the moment at least is keeping points, so this is looking good for the Canadian for the overall win.
It is looking good. Griolu making the mistake at the slalom, so he's forced to respawn. He's down in P9 as a result of that. Gwen up into the top 8. Yeah, Gwen indeed into the top 8, as we had another mistake from another player. Meanwhile, Tween 2 seconds ahead of Massa. This is absolutely insane. Is he going to be able to sustain that pace for 2 more laps now? Penultimate lap coming from Marek. Currently leading with a 4:09.295 at the next checkpoint. This is really insane pace on this map. Massa in P2 does not have any answer. I don't think any of the field has any answer for the speed of our man at the moment. Kappa in P3 battling with Massa for the benefit of second position. 1:614. He was working within 9 thousandths of the previous lap record from Gwen. This is just insane. Meanwhile, Scrappy up into P4, having a bit of a lonely race. Well, lonely race. He's got half a second to Oral, so the Frenchman's still keeping him in check, but indeed, he does not have any answer to the pace of the top guys in front, so he has, I think he's pretty much settled in on bringing home those points for P4. Meanwhile, Massa getting by Kappa for P2 at the moment, although Massa has less speed than Kappa.
This is not good for Spam, though. This is not good for Spam.
Spam down 12 seconds, and Bren has retired. So yeah, definitely no points on the board for Spam. Meanwhile, Tween on the final lap of this race, in for his 3rd map win of the season. One that could definitely be a big morale boost for him after such a rocky season that he had. Massa is dead! Massa is dead! Down to P7 he goes. He still retains those points though, so I think all well is good for Massa. Carl Jr. is just ahead of him. Then he's got 1.9 seconds before Matt comes in P9, so Massa dead, not quite. You can see he's still in P7. He's dead for the lead battle, sure, but he's definitely not dead for that top 8 spot. Meanwhile, Scrappy, Aurel, and Afi, it's a battle that's really hotting up for P3 even at the moment with that mistake from Massa. Kappa moving up into P2. Tween up at 4 seconds, so he's completely unstoppable. Look at this. Riolu dead apparently, so he's Team Sampi represents. Riolu down in last place, 15 seconds down on the 16 seconds down on the leader, who is Tween, getting into the identity for the final time. Just a few slaloms to actually cross over, and he's done it, ladies and gentlemen. He's won his 3rd race of the season. Kappa in P2, 4.5 seconds down on Marek. Afi up into P3, Scrappy in P4, Scrappy in P4, Aurel P5, Gwen 6th, Massa in P7, Carl Jr. in P8, Matt in P9, Evan in P10, Pack crossed the finish line in P11, turtling, interestingly enough, Spam in P12, Papu has problems at the identity, so he's going to lose places. Riolu down in P13, moves up to P13, but he rails as well, so Papu, oh no, and Riolu will cross no, he will not cross it. Will they be able to cross the finish line in time? Papu crosses it, will Riolu be able to cross it? And I think we're done here for Riolu, no points on the board. 22 points, the full Grand Slam for Tween, fastest lap, and the race win. 35 points for him in P4 of the step as we're heading towards the break before between maps, between stage 2 and 3. So yeah, fastest lap of the race for Tween in the end. And he has the lap record with a 1:00.527. Stunning performance as we're got 6 minutes of break heading into the final stage. So quick score recap after the first 2 stages. Afi leading the step with 49 points on the board. Aurel second with 38 points. Sorry. Sorry about that, folks. 38 points then for Aurel and Gwen in second and third, with Tween in P4 with 35 points, 34 points for Kappa in P5, 31 for Scrappy in P6, 30 for Massa in P7, Pack 8th with 25 points, 9th place for Carl Jr., with 22 points, 14 points for Papu in P10, 10 points equal for Spam and Evon in 11th and 12th, 13 points for Matt with 13th place for Matt with 8 points, 6 points for Bren in P14, 4 points for Riolu in P15. So that's the step ranking as it stands with 2 maps remaining. This is
9 points between Spam and Aurel.
This is how it looks. You can, yeah, and indeed he's highlighted that. Spam 117, Aurel 108, Evan not too far down that off either, 98, Spam Scrappy 96. So there could still be some big stuff on, and if Tween is able to keep those the same performances as he's been making on map 4, there could be. He's still in with a shot, albeit small. He's still in with a shot of making it into that top 8 spot. That's a playoff ticket. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how what Mara can cook up.
If Massa was at the moment 30 points, loses 30 points, he will have 107 points. Aurel 108 points, and then Aurel is in and Massa is out. Kappa also has a lot of points at the moment with 34. If he loses them, it's 114 points, and then you have to imagine that Aurel and Evon and Scrappy will gain points. So Kappa, Massa, and Spam, they are far away from being safe at the moment. They will need to keep the points they have at the moment, else it might be see you in combine.
Yeah, 6th, 7th, and 8th are far from... Well, Kappa may be a bit more safe than others, but definitely still with a bit of a rocky edge. Meanwhile, Massa and Spam are well and truly in the hot seat at the moment. They need to perform and keep those points alive. Meanwhile, Aurel, Evon, and Scrappy are going to be having a fight on their hands, and our man Tween is going to have the fight of his life to try and get those 2 map wins. I think he's going to want to actually go for the big boy step. Maybe, just maybe, if with enough luck, we can get good placings. Maybe we can get those fastest laps, and maybe there could be a playoff spot on our hands for the Pittsburgh Knights and for our man Tween, who wants to actually try again after the disappointment of Lyon last year, where he last February, where he got knocked out at the lower bracket semi-final, lower bracket final, yeah. With a triple finalist round. I think he wants to wipe that memory away and trying to make it happen. Although it's going to be really difficult for him, we're going to be still cheering him along. So go Tween in chat. Spam go Tween in chat if you want to show your support. He definitely needs it.
But going back to who is actually going to win this league at the moment is Gwen and then Carl Jr. And now Afi is number 3 in the league. I would never imagine Afi to actually be number 3 in this league, so it's insane to see him up there.
Yeah, it is insane to see him up there. 2 rookies out of 3 currently in the top 8 and looking to stay in the top 8 if everything keeps up like way. So definitely some solid performances from Gwen and Afi on this one, but remember that those standings are not final. We still have the 2 final maps to play, so make sure to stick around for those 2 maps where full points loss will be incurred for people playing in the bottom 8. This is where it is absolutely crucial to get on the ball and start performing.
Now dreams will be broken, dreams will be crushed, because this point system, we can debate it up and down, but it's what it is today. You have to keep the points, else the playoff spot is goodbye, and you have to secure yourself a slot in the combine.
So sorry about that. We're just taking a little bit of a pause thanks to that little break that we're having right now. So yeah, we don't really have anything else to say about what's happening at the moment. Double win for Tween and he'll be in if Massa, Spam, or Kappa loses points on last map. That is an interesting take, Wiffily. Although a double map win for Tween here might be a bit of a stretch, because as we highlighted a little bit earlier in the stream, he does not have the fastest times on there. It's only P6 and P5 in the campaign times for both the 2 maps that are Snow Step and Semiramis that are going to be played today. And if I actually take a look at said times right now, thanks to TrackMania.io, let me just load up those maps. Currently, it is Aurel and Scrappy. Aurel having the fastest time on Snow Step. Actually, Snow Step, it does look good for Tween, who managed to get a new time in 7 hours ago. He's in top 2. Meanwhile, on Semiramis, it's top 5. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how that goes. But yeah, Scrappy and Aurel on paper, on pace, they are the favorites.
Yeah, this is TrackMania Grand League. This is what Ubisoft and they wanted. This is what Healers wanted. Everything can happen until map 6, lap 6 of step 6. And that is essentially, at the moment, everything is possible.
Yeah, it's still, the game is still very much wide open. So this is map 5 that you're currently seeing right now. Map 5, which is Snow Step by Tona and Link. The identity consists of this series of hills right here, where you need to actually make the jump between those hills, while jump from dirt to from grass to dirt, and then from snow from ice to ice, and you have to pitch your car in this in an ice slide pretty early in order to actually be able to make that jump, and you need enough speed also to make it. Otherwise, you're going to be in for a rocky time and lose a shit ton of time if you actually have to respawn.
Oh boy.
Oh man. Here we go. Map 5 underway. It's the money time now, boys. This and the next map are going to be all important. Bottom 8 will lose all their points. You can see it on the left-hand side of your screen. Race 5 underway. Massa taking the whole shot after the first checkpoint with a 10.459. Carl Jr. towards the tail end of the field at the moment, currently sitting in P15, but still within contact of the lead group. Massa still in the lead after the second checkpoint, with Gwen following him closely, with Afi and Tween also in it. With Carl Jr. getting a little bit left behind, it seems like the Canadian having a bit of trouble. Brent having a bit of trouble as well, going too wide and dropping too much speed on the dirt. So he's down in last place alongside with former teammate, and Matt has had a bit of a rocky line through there, so he's going to get overtaken by both Carl and Bren. So he's down in P15. Massa, Gwen 1 and 2, Pack in 3rd. Let's actually check in on Tween, currently sitting in P4 at the moment, heading into the jump. Safer jump from Tween compared to the rest, so he's down to P6 at the present moment. Tween still within the thick of the field. Gwen taking the lead over from Massa, who's down in P3. Pack having overtaken him as well for P2. Now we're heading to the identity. Fragile block. Make sure to where you pitch your car, to make sure to be careful where you place your car. And there goes the identity. So first, dirt for grass to dirt. Let's actually check in on Tween. Low landing through there, then onto the ice. Pitch your car in an ice slide really early. Make sure not to touch the back wall. Unfortunately, that is the case. So he's going to drop quite a fair bit. Evon seems to be dead, apparently, so we're going to check him back in. It's P10 for Tween at the end of the first lap, still 6 tenths away from the top 8 needed for safety, and Evon has made quite a big mistake, and Pack as well. So 2 of the big contenders might be out of it already. So yeah, quite some big mistakes that I did miss, unfortunately, from the camera. Really sorry about that, guys. So Pack and Evon are well and truly dead at the moment, with Matt and Tween having a battle on their hands to catch up to Riolu, currently holding the top 8 spot. Bodin trying to make up for some of the lost some of the lost time and trying to put a good show again. He's not having mathematically any chance of getting into the playoffs, so it's definitely more of a good morale boost than anything if he's able to get a good step on here.
Yeah, and now it's dead for Evon. Evon is not going to make the playoffs anymore. That was, he needed to keep the points, but now sadly he's losing points, so Evon is out. That's GG for him.
GG for him.
Still low. He's going to qualify to the playoffs no matter what.
Meanwhile, the battle for top 8 is starting up. Look at this. Tween, Riolu, and Matt are within each other right now. It's a battle for top 8 that you're currently seeing on the screen right now, with the battle for P6 just ahead of him, with Bren and Massa. Bren currently holding P6, Massa in P7, chasing down the Calamito Corp driver at the moment for the benefit of set 6th position. Onto the identity for the second time. Oh, Tween, that's a really low line through there, pretty risky, but he manages to get quite a bit of speed out of it. And again, a low line, really early landing from there. He drops a bit of speed, getting the grip back up though, so still sitting in P10, dropping a bit of time to Matt, currently holding top 8, as Riolu is finding himself embroiled in the scrap with Scrappy for P10 at the moment, and Scrappy trying to catch back up to Tween for P9. They're all trying to catch back up to the bandwagon of P8 with Matt at the moment, currently having his eyes on the battle between Massa and Afi for P6. Brent currently sitting in P5. Meanwhile, at the front, Gwen, Kappa, and Norel, your top 3 in that order.
This is going to be so important for Scrappy to eventually climb his way back up at the 10th spot at the moment, but he's pretty close to Matt, who is keeping the 8th spot at the moment.
Yeah, he's currently pretty close to actually making it to that 8th spot. Currently, Matt also putting an overtake on Massa. So, actually having a wide landing, as I say that. So Matt back down to P8 again. But look at this. The battle for top 8 is again brewing, potentially for P7 between Massa, Matt, and Tween, with Scrappy also in hot pursuit. So yeah, it is definitely all possible for either Tween or Scrappy to make it to the top 8. Matt has dropped the ball, so he's moved down to P10. Tween currently in the top 8. Now he needs to resist for 3 more laps. Massa slowing down with the patch of snow before the jump into the identity. Currently following the perspective of Scrappy into this identity. That's a low landing from Tween. Hopefully he did not lose any speed from that. Oh, Massa, that's a risky early landing from there. Afi has a slow exit out of there, so he's down in P8. Meanwhile, Twin, oh, Mats, that was a huge hit into the finish line, so he's going to be out of it for sure right now. Unfortunately for Mateus, it's dead at the present moment, and Tween, Afi, and Massa battling for 6th position. Meanwhile, Afi's down in P8, so Tween and Massa are left to battle for P6, with Scrappy trying to prey on Afi, trying to make him lose those 49 points and keep himself the 31 points for himself. But Afi's not having any of that. He looks as if he's not going to go down without a fight.
This is going to be so important. Let's focus on Scrappy, because if Scrappy doesn't keep the points here, his goal is also out. He cannot make the playoffs.
Oh, Brent making a mistake. Brent completely making a mistake, so that's going to help Scrappy's matters a little bit, as well as Afi's. They're both in the top 8 right now. Riolu looking to actually demote one of those and actually break the dream potentially of Scrappy if he has the misfortune of actually dropping quite a bit of speed to Afi at the present moment. It's still a huge battle for top 8 at the moment. Scrappy in P8, Afi in P7. Let's actually check it back in on Tweed. Bending off the attacks of Massa for P5. Spamming P4 a little bit further ahead. 1 second ahead of Tween, as a matter of fact. Kappa and Orel in 3rd and 2nd. Meanwhile, Gwen 2 seconds ahead of Orel. So Gwen really running away with it at the moment. You can see the name tag up there at the uphill. Meanwhile, Trail still in P5, looking pretty good out there. Gwen currently still sitting in 1st place. 2.2 seconds ahead of the field. 121.421 for the fastest lap and 121.435 for Gwen. So he's within Regu of his very own PB at the present moment, which is definitely a statement, pretty strong statement of how fast Gwen is.
Whew, oh boy.
Meanwhile, towards the battle for the top 8, the gaps have spread out quite a bit. We're now seeing 7/10 between Afi and Scrappy, and then 1.1 second between Scrappy and Riolu at the moment, so it's going to become increasingly difficult. Afi has made a mistake. Oh, he's dropped quite a bit of speed. That's going to allow Riolu to move back in. Afi now well under threat. That is something that I did not expect to see happen. So the Swiss player from Team BDS is under threat from the German player from Team Nordavin at the present moment. Meanwhile, penultimate identity crossing, Tween still safe in P5, looking to fend off again the attacks of Massav to keep that P5 in the books. Spam in P4 at the moment. Getting reeled in by Tween, it seems like, before the ice parts. He manages to clear it, and we now have a battle for P4 in our hands between Spam and Tween at the present moment. Final lap initiated for both of these players, and Spam.
Massa!
Oh, Massa has made a mistake. And he's down in P8, down in P9.
This can be a playoff or not. This is important.
This could be make or break. Actually, he's down in P10, which is even worse, as Brent came back into P7, P8 for Riolu. So this could be really, really huge points losses. Meanwhile, Scrappy looks like he is currently safe right now, currently sitting in P5 to 1.3 second ahead of Scrappy in P6. Spam, Go, Tween, and Shot currently sitting in P4 as a result of the mistake from Massa. That could be a battle for a podium spot in this race, and 12 points on the board. Gwen still holding the fastest lap with a 121.421. Aurel in P2 does not have anything else to do aside from actually bring it home. Tween overtaking Spam at the jump. It's going to be between those two at the line, at the identity coming up in a few seconds. Meanwhile, Gwen, the race leader, is really running away with this. He checked out ever since lap number 1 of this race started. We're following the perspective of the chaser. Spam chasing Tween through the identity for the benefit of 3rd position. Gwen, meanwhile, crossing the identity, going to score himself another map win this season. Aurel in P2.
Out at the moment.
Oh, Kappa and Massa out, so Gwen wins the race in front of Aurel. Tween in P3, ladies and gentlemen. It's podium spot for Tween. Spam in P4, Scrappy P5, Afi P6, Riolu and Brent 7th and 8th. Massa, dream is over. Kappa is in P10, Pack 11th, Carl Jr. 12th, Papu 13th, Evan 14th, and Matt's in P15. And Massa is the very first of the contenders to drop out of contention for a playoff spot at the present moment, but there's one map remaining, and Kappa as well might be completely out of it. Grand Slap for Gwen, fastest lap and race win. 60 points for Gwen in first place, 57 for Afi in second, 52 for Aurel in third, 47 for Tween in fourth. As we're heading into the final map of the step, which is going to be semi-ramis by Table and Firestorm. And yeah, we're checking the league rankings.
This is so open, man.
119 for 127 for Spam, 122 for Aurel, 119 for Kappa, 112 for Massa, 105 for Scrappy, 1D1 for Evon and Tween. It's still very much anybody's game at this point.
If all stars align, Tween can actually make it. If all stars align, Evon can actually make it. Scrappy can make it. Massa can make it. Kappa cannot make it. Aurel cannot make it. Spam cannot make it. This is so open.
This is very much wide open. It's anybody's game at this point. So Semiramis, the identity consists of this series of jumps where you have to be careful with your speed and how you land on here in this series of jumps. One towards the left, one towards the right, one towards the left, and then final jump into this rest section, and then another final jump where you need around 260 kilometers an hour to clear this ring reset and land smoothly on the other side of the hill. So Gwen 60 points, Api 57, Aurel 52, Tween 47 at the present moment. Tween, Aurel, Tween, Scrappy, Spam are embroiled in the fight for the top 8 positions. Kappa and Massa are very much out of it. It's game over at the present moment for now. It's very important for Tween to actually stay in the top 8 to get himself some really to actually continue and secure a good step for once. But most importantly, he needs to contend for those top positions. He needs to contend for those fastest laps if he is to have any chance of actually challenging anyone here for the lead, unless some key people in the battle for top 8 drop out. In this case, it would mean that Aurel would drop out. It would mean that Spam needs to drop out in favor, and also Massa and also Scrappy would drop out. Evon would drop out. That would be absolutely up to the lucky stars up there in the sky to be there with us. We're on the final map of the Grand League regular season. Here we go.
Oh boy. It's mainly between Kappa and Massa at the moment though, and Aurel needs to keep the points, but Massa and Kappa is the battle at the moment.
Yeah, race 6 underway at the present moment. Pack currently leading in front of Gwen and Ryulu, Evon and Tween in the top 5 at the present moment. Everybody still remaining fairly grouped after the first 2 checkpoints. No big mistakes from the big players so far. As I say that, was there a big mistake? It is Matt, who's completely out of it right now. Oh, who was that? Was that Ryulu? Yeah, it is Ryulu who dropped out. Meanwhile, Carl Jr. still at the tail end of the field in P13. He's forced to release before this transfer. He manages to make it though, so definitely nothing lost too much for the Canadian at the present moment. Currently, let's find out where Tween is. He's currently fighting for P4 with Kappa. He's down in P5 at the present moment as they teeter over the second part of the transfer. Now onto the identity for the first time. Pack, Gwen, Kappa, Spam, and Tween. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at the moment. Oh, Tween clipping a little bit on the edge. Managing to make it to the second jump. Managing to make it to the third jump with a bit of a release. Gwen, Pack, and Kappa, 1, 2, 3, but actually Kappa with a sluggish landing, still keeps P3, but now he's under threat from Tween. Meanwhile, it's actually chicken on the top 8 positions. Currently, it is Aurel who holds it, but Scrappy and Bren are looking to jump up the bit and try to challenge for P8 right now.
Scrappy mistake.
Oh, Scrappy mistake, and that's going to be quite devastating. He finds himself 1.4, 1.5 seconds down on the top 8 needed for safety, so at the moment he looks like he's dead. Aurel currently holding on for dear life, holding on to that top 8 spot, battling with Massa for P7 and Spam with P6. Currently Tween battling for P3 with Kappa. He managed to make the move stick on the Czech driver from Veloci Esports. Tween up into P3, Pack in P4, Pack in P1, Gwen in P2. They're battling with each other right now. Aurel still currently sitting in P8. Bren is not that far away though, 0.4 of a second away from the GamingPV.com player. Lap 2, the identity coming up right now from Tween, Gwen, and Pack. Pack currently leading from Gwen as we're heading to the second jump. Third jump right now. Tween managing to make it nicely through. So far, so good. Gwen retaking the lead from Pack and thus taking the fastest lap of the race with a 108.024. Kappa is dead. He's down in 9th place as Gwen moves up into the P8. Aurel up into P7, so it looks like Aurel might be in with a shot of getting that player spot after all. Afi and Massa just ahead of him, battling for P5, spamming P4, catching back up to Tween to try to challenge for P3 at the present moment.
At the moment, Massa is in, Kappa is out.
Massa in, Kappa out. Okay, that's an interesting thing to actually keep an eye out on.
Aurel is in. Spam is in.
Aurel, Spam, and Massa are in. Kappa would be the first man to be out of there. Scrappy would also not get any chance of actually keeping those points, and the challenge will be over for the Team Lazarus player from Belgium. Oh, Gwen taking a little bit of a wide line through there. He managed to actually keep it away from the wall, so nicely done. Go Tween in chat, go Tween! This is the final chance to get a good points on the good step on the board, even though the playoff chance is really slim for our man at the moment. We're halfway through the final race of the season. And currently Gwen leads in front of Pack and Tween at the present moment, spamming P4. Massa, Aurel, Afi, and Kappa moving back up into the top 8 as Bren made a mistake. So currently Kappa in at the present moment. Afi made a mistake, so he's even further in now, Kappa, as he moves through into P7. You can see the league ranking right here. Kappa would be in at the present moment. This is a points after race number 5, so it's going to be interesting to see how this goes at the end of this race. Spam getting reeled in by Massa.
Massa needs to go for the win here, else Kappa is going to have enough points for him to knock out. Spam is keeping the points, Aurel is keeping the points, so Massa needs to go for the win if he wants to keep it.
Yeah, this is very much do or die for Massa at the moment. Scrappy still currently agonizing at the edge of the top 8. He can see Afi right ahead of him. He knows that the top 8 is right just there. 4th lap coming to an end. The identity coming up for the 4th time in this race. 108.024, the fastest lap for Gwen so far, who leads the race by half a second from Pack at the present moment. Tween in P3, looking to get a decent step on his hands despite the chance of playoffs getting slimmer and slimmer by the minute.
How many points for 4th place? You remember?
It is 10 points for 4th place.
And for 7th?
For 7th, it is 7 points.
Okay, so Massa needs to advance. Massa needs to advance if he wants to keep the playoff spot. Else it's going to be some few points that makes him not advancing to this playoff.
Yeah, exactly. Penultimate lap has been started. Gwen dipping into the 108s. 107.878. Still leading the race convincingly from Pack. 8 tenths ahead of the Brits. Tween still in 3rd. Half a second ahead of Massa, who's moving back up into P4 at the present moment. And he's going to try to go all in, all or nothing for the German, for Mr. 305, for Cupra. He is actually looking to get himself some decent points, and we're trying to keep that fight for the top spot alive. Scrappy down to P11, so he's very much well and truly dead at the present moment. Afi has got a bit of room to breathe. 1 second to go before Riolu at the present, 1 second ahead of Riolu at the moment. No, Tween! What's happened? He will not make it. Tween down to P6. Still managing to keep it the top 8, but that's going to be putting a serious dent into his chances of playoffs. Final lap underway from Gwen. Pack in P2, Massa in P3 as a result of that. Aurel in P4.
For 3rd place?
Yeah, Aurel is going to go for 3rd place, trying to deny Massa the playoff spot. Spam in 5th place, Tween in 6th place, still keeping ahead of Kappa and Riolu. Still maybe scoring some decent points in the end, but that's going to be playoffs pretty much well and truly done and dusted over for Tween as we're heading towards the end of the final lap. At the
Massa needs to risk it, he needs to advance.
Massa definitely needs it, but he does not have any answer to the pace up front. He's 1.6 seconds behind Pack. He's not going to be able to actually turn out for Massa at the present moment. Meanwhile, Pack is still in with a shot of winning the race. Meanwhile, Gwen is trying to control the race from the front. 8 tenths of a second right now ahead of Pack, heading into the identity for the final time. That's actually checking on Marek. He actually scared me quite a bit after that fail at the first jump. Let's see if he can make it and score those 47 points at the very least to get a good step on the board. Gwen, meanwhile, will get himself the race win and will get himself the overall win, I think, in the Grand League with that. Gwen wins the race in front of Pack. Massa in P3, Aurel in P4, spamming P5. Tween scores the points for P6 and keeps 50 plus points on the board. Kappa 7th, Riolu in P8. Scrappy losing 40 points and losing out on a chance for getting into the playoffs. Massa also out, Tween also out, Evon also out, unfortunately. Matt in P10, Bren in P11, Evon in P12, Carl Jr. in P13, Afi P14. Papu will not be able to cross the start finish line, will not get any points on the board, unfortunately, for the Gamers Origin driver, but thankfully he does not have to worry about that too much since he is in the playoffs. So, before we get a word from our man, this is the final ranking of the step, and Gwen with 82 points wins the step ahead of Aurel with 62 points. Tween 55 points in the end, 3rd place in the step. Nice solid showing at the end for our man, although unfortunately it was not enough to make it through to the next phase on November 1st. So, Gwen wins the step ahead of Aurel, Tween, Spam, Pack, Massa, Riolu, and Kappa. Scrappy, Matt, Bren, Evon, Carl Jr., Afi, and Papu complete your top 15, with Yannick's unfortunately not able to take part due to personal reasons. This is your top 8 at the end of it. Gwen wins the Grand League season with 275 points in front of Carl Jr. Carl Jr. in second place with 187, Pack third with 176, Papu fourth with 160, Afi fifth with 139, Spam sixth with 136, Aurel seventh with 132, and Kappa will be your finalist. Will get himself into the playoffs with 126, 2 points ahead of Masa. How close are these margins? Masa down to P9 with 124, Tween back up to P10 at the end with 99 points, 92 points for Evon in P11, 12th place for Scrappy with 70 points, 35 points for Yannick in P13, 32 points for Brennan P14, along with Rielu in P15, and Matt's last place in the Grand League with 19 points to his name.